Hi, and welcome to another instalment from the Saw Tackle Caravan. So I'm going to carry on the stick floats subject. So obviously the last one we did, we just talked briefly about the difference between wire stem and lignum stem sticks, and dome topped and shouldered. So hopefully that's give you a little bit of an insight into those picking up the right ones, are those for sort of the right situation to go fishing. So the next thing to add into that is obviously whether it's a 6 number 4 or 4 number 4. So we're down to obviously shotting capacities. This is where it kind of it can go off in a tangent in all sorts of different ways, and it's there's no sort of set rule really as such. I know a lot of the stick float people fishing stick floats will say, as a rough guide, it's 1 number 4 per foot of water. So if you go back to my little handy guide, there's a sort of, so a number 4 being a 0.2 of a gram. So if you're fishing 4 foot of water, we say really you don't want to be fishing anything less than 4 number 4. So a 4 number 4 will give you 0.8 of a gram. So the things to bear in mind obviously is you don't want to be fishing even down to even if you were looking at sort of fishing pole floats, you don't want to be fishing too light a float for the situation that you're going to be fishing in. So what you need to think about is obviously how deep you're fishing. It's not the actual full depth, so it's 4 number 4 in 4 foot of water. Well, that could either be 4 foot of water in its total depth, or you're only fishing in 4 foot of water, so it could be half the depth. You could only be fishing midway. It could actually be a bit of water that's 8 foot, but you're only wanting the float to work properly in half the depth. So if you think about what you're trying to achieve, it's pointless. So it's pointless fishing an 8 number 4 float when you're trying to catch the fish up in the water in 4 foot of water, because the float is obviously too big and heavy. It's going to bomb down too quickly. It's too cumbersome. So think about whereabouts in the water you're actually wanting to fish. That is probably the better way to look at it. So yes, 1 number 4 per foot, but obviously considering the depth of water you're at. Obviously other things that throw it out a little bit of obviously flow rates. If it's absolutely bombing through, you might need a bigger float even in shallow water just to give you the presentation. So those things will throw things out. So I always like to talk about fishing as a medium sort of water. So again, because it's local to me, the River Saw, most of the saw is probably 5, 6, 7 foot deep. So that sort of size float, so you're talking probably 0.8 up to about 1.5 gram maybe, is probably about the right sort of size to work on, whether it be fishing shallow or fishing full depth. That for me is a rough guide. Whether I'm fishing a lignum stem, which obviously you just cross-reference that back, so a lignum stem stick through to a wire stem stick. Okay, so even that, if it was fishing fairly, so again, what's that? That's a 4 number 4 stick, so it's 0.8 of a gram. Quite happily bulk that, so could put a small bulk of shot. Quite happily do that. It will pick the flow up nicely. Obviously, again, going back to my last one, if it's really bombing through and you're fishing quite big floats, sometimes a bulk of shot can give you quite a string of shot. If you're fishing fairly big shots or even small shots, it will give you quite a surface area that will get picked up by the flow and it can drag through. So you are, as we spoke about, going down to Olivettes. So actually with that, Accords, I don't think I've got one here anyway, but that's a 0.8, so I could actually put a 0.6 of a gram Olivet on that, a couple of shot either side of the Olivet and a drop shot. Might have to add some trim shot to it. That'll give you quite a nice setup actually, for sort of 4 foot water, or if it's really slowed, and it's just enough to present a stick flow. You don't want to really be fishing a stick that's in static water. It needs a nice trickle, so if it is only just trickling through, you know you can trickle that float through. You're going to need a live float. So it's kind of something you'll learn as you're going through. It's sort of, like I say, there's no hard and fast rule. It's something, one that will suit you. You got to think about where you're going, which is again harping back to making your rigs at home. You can make a nice selection of rigs, and then you think, oh, I'm going to go and fish so and so tomorrow. I know roughly what it's like. I know roughly what depth it is. So I'll pick out the floats that I need, take them with me. Done. You ain't taking a great pile of floats and then sitting on the bank trying to choose. So I mean, we generally all end up going to places that we know. So just think about what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve. So if you're going off somewhere, always take one that's going to work full depth, and one that you can fish shallow. So as the session goes, if the fish are coming up in the water, even if you've only got one rod, if the rig is on the winder, it's quite easy to put the rig off the rod back on the winder and quickly connect another one up without having to make up or break down a whole rig and make a whole rig up. You can quite easily, almost as if you're pole fishing, put another rig on. So shotting, so just think about what you're doing. Again, going back to the last talk we did, you want, if you're fishing the strung out, you want quite a lot of shot on there, just so you get that fall right, so it's nice and steady. You're obviously trying to emulate the fall of the bait through the water, so it's pointless if it's bombing through if you're fishing on the drop. And if you're bulking it, you want that last little bit. So if it's a couple of foot off the deck, you just want the last little bit just to come down and just flutter down. So hopefully if the fish are coming in or they're following it down from a distance and they see that last little bit just trickle down, and then as you work that stick float through, you can get that bait to sort of wag up off the bottom away from your whatever feed you put on the bottom. So yeah, obviously try and find that. If you want me to email you a copy over, obviously put comment in with your email address or a way I can ping it over to you. Or if you don't want to put your email actually on the comments, just send me an email. You can send an email quite easily through this, or just address it to me at scott@sawtackle.co.uk is the easiest thing to do. I'm more than happy to email it over to you. I'll just send it over in PDF and then you can print it off. So hopefully it is a complicated area, but there's no need to make it complicated. So just to recap, think about where you're going, how powerful the river is, whereabouts whether you're intending to fish full depth, which really should be looking at fishing full depth and then coming up in the water later on in the session, and that's it. It's just trying to get the balance right. So if you're like me and you're fishing the river saw, somewhere around about 0.8 of a gram to 1.5 gram is probably about right. The Trent, it's not going to be a million miles different, certainly through the summer months. You might have to step it up a little bit. I mean, the last time I went on the Trent was just coming into new season last year, so that will be 2019. Got about a foot of extra water on it. Was bombing through. I think I only really fished a 10 number 4. A 10 number 4 being 2 gram. That's it really. So any questions, fire them over to me. Just pick the correct stick. Don't go too small, don't go too big. Just think about what you're doing. All right. So do another one. I'll keep building up on these. Hopefully try and keep them as short as I possibly can. So we'll look actually at probably setting the stick float up as best we can. Obviously it's easier to show you on the bank and how it all works, but yeah, if set it up the best we can in here, and then making it up on a jig, and then showing you how to put it all together to go into winders. Okay, right, I shall see you all soon. Take care, bye bye.